Welcome back, everyone, to The Conversation. I'm Francesca Fiorentini, and so excited to speak with our next guest. He is the former director of the Democratic Party of Georgia, a talk show host, and the host of the Rashad Ritchie Morning Show, editor-at-large of Rolling Out magazine, and his name is Rashad Ritchie. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. You are in Atlanta, am I correct about that?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So I was born in a place called Albany, Georgia, but I've been in Atlanta since I was like 10 years old. So I'm definitely an Atlantan.
Okay, good. That's all I need to know from this next series of questions, all about Georgia. The holdout of blue in a sea of southern red this election, pretty much the story, I would say, of the 2020 election beyond coronavirus, et cetera, and Trump himself. Trump has just lost Georgia for like the third time after results have been yet again certified, showing that he did in fact lose that state. What are your thoughts just going through what Georgia means for the country and the fact that it did turn blue after so many years?
Yeah, not only did Trump lose Georgia, he lost Georgia basically for Loeffler, Senator Loeffler and Senator Perdue. These were incumbent US senators. You know how rare it is for an incumbent US senator to lose their state? So they're not defeated, but they're in a runoff. They could not get 50% plus one. They're both in a runoff. But here's what it means. It means that for a Democrat running for president, number one, there's a new route to be president of the United States. Joe Biden has proven that Georgia is in play. Georgia became a de facto battleground state, really, what Stacey Abrams, before she ran and when she ran. Remember, Stacey Abrams' campaign meant that a black female in a southern state could damn near become governor. But she did engage in a lot of direct voter engagement before she did her historic run. She engaged through voter registration. And we see that those elements, grassroots campaigning, it works. It has always been the Democratic stronghold. They need to continue doing it.
And was that some of the strategy that you were trying to lead them to when you were working with the Democratic Party in the state? And I mean, I feel like this is the lesson we've all learned from it. And yet Democrats often will be like, no, we've got these other consultants and they're gonna tell us what to do. Meanwhile, the grassroots is like, no, we know.
Let me tell you something. I had a lot of frustration and a lot of joy being the director and chief strategist for the Georgia Democratic Party during the years I was there. But I would jokingly tell my friends, 50% of my time I'm fighting Republicans, the other 50% I'm fighting Democrats, right? So there was always this sentiment in the state that I disagreed with and I fought against the ideology. And it was that somehow a Democrat could only win the state of Georgia if they ran to the middle. Okay, Stacey Abrams proved that model to be wrong. Before Stacey Abrams ran for governor, we had a guy named Jason Carter. Jason Carter, state senator, lawyer, very charismatic young guy, remarkable individual. He's the grandson of President Jimmy Carter. He ran, he gets the nomination, he goes to the middle once he gets the nomination. Well, he got close, but Stacey Abrams got closer, and she was a black female. She got closer because she actually excited the base and she ran toward the progressive wing of the party rather than away from it.
I was there the night that she didn't concede, and rightfully so, because of how much voter suppression there was, and Kemp running his own election. And the energy in that room, it was clear that even just a few short years later, that something big was gonna happen in Georgia. Now you got Republicans running scared, okay? Loeffler and Perdue, like you said, they have to go to runoffs in January. What are your thoughts on the prospect of them winning that? What has to happen for them to lose that, for Democrats to take those seats?
Well, let me tell you this, these cats are imploding, Loeffler and Perdue. Their first action was to call for the mandated resignation of the Secretary of State of Georgia, who's Raffensperger. He's the chief elections officer. They provided no proof, no evidence that some massive voter fraud took place. Only the fact that they did not win. And you have to imagine, well, are you telling him to resign because he didn't do something to make you win? Because obviously there was nothing else they could go on. But here's what's happening. In Georgia, there's a real opportunity here for them to win, for the Democrats to win both US Senate seats. Here's why. Perdue and Loeffler, as a campaign strategy, decided not to run on policy. They decided not to run on accomplishment nor achievement in the US Senate. They ran squarely on the fact that they voted 100% with Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump is a lame duck president. He's the lamest duck president we've ever had. This guy is sitting in a room locked in four corners, basically tweeting to the rest of the world, and he's not even coming out to excite the base. Right. Who do we have here in Georgia a few days ago? Mike Pence. Nobody gives a damn about Mike Pence in the Republican Party, but he's the guy they sent because Trump refuses to come out and stump for these individuals. As a matter of fact, during the last rally, Loeffler and Perdue completely left Trump's name out of their speeches.
Wow.
100%. That is going to severely weaken them in a runoff. And we know runoffs are all about base turnout.
Sure, absolutely. And I think just building on what already happened for Democrats in this election could go a long way, right? In terms of riding them and seeing if the entire Senate, really, the entire country is staring at Georgia and waiting on bated breath to see what happens. But I want to turn to a Biden administration and generally your thoughts on particularly the idea that they really have to go big. We're in the middle of a bunch of crises right now, and it seems like Democrats are starting to understand that they need to really deliver for the American people. Otherwise, we're gonna have another Trump, if not Trump himself, run in 4 years and potentially win again, right? What are your thoughts on that going big? And I guess specifically when it comes to something like criminal justice reform, racial justice, and everything that 2020 has been about, which is demanding reining in police somehow.
Yeah, they got to go big or go home. Okay, that's what has to happen now. I had the great opportunity to have Senator Cory Booker as my co-host on my radio show on election day. All right, so we're talking about what should happen, what may happen, but I made it very clear to Senator Booker, if you all get this opportunity, right, to where you have Joe Biden, you have Senator Harris, and you may actually be able to control the Senate, right?
Yeah.
If you get this opportunity, you have to take advantage of it immediately. You cannot wait for a consensus from Republicans or moderates. You have to do what you need to do within the first few days of that mandate. And if the Biden-Harris campaign learned anything, I hope they learned from the Obama era that you cannot simply wait and hope for good gestures to come from the Republicans and hope that somehow they start seeing things the way you see them. You have to get in and do it quickly. I'm looking at not only criminal justice reform, reimagine policing, as well as the conversation of reparations. Remember, Senator Harris is the co-sponsor to Senate Bill 1083, which is the mirror version of House Resolution 40. That's your reparations study bill. Those things need to be on the table. Higher education access. We have to do massive social reform as it relates to these items, and it has to be done, in my opinion, within the first year of this administration.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that even just we remember this is an exploratory discussion of reparations. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it is so important because we don't even know our own history, right? Clearly, we don't know our history. We've got 71 million people still voting for a racist like Donald Trump. Where do you feel like this energy goes from the Black Lives Matter movement, knowing that it is going to be an uphill battle to actually get Republicans or Democrats to deliver? What are your thoughts on like the people who've been galvanized and who've been politicized by just this moment, who may be disillusioned going forward?
Black Lives Matter should receive so much credit for saving this country. And here's why. They successfully did something that the media could not do. They successfully did something that Democrats could not do. And that was to polarize Trump as the man he actually is. They did what I call contrast politics. The media tried to do it. Democrats made a valiant attempt, but they could not bring it home. They did. They created a contrast conversation as it relates to the president and the direction of this country. Here's what has to happen. And I've been protesting with Black Lives Matter for years. They have to now go from protest to policy. Yeah. This has to be a policy discussion. And when I say policy discussion, we're not talking about a bullet point or an executive order. We're talking about sweeping legislation that's very difficult to erase from the history books. And that has to now become the focus.
Absolutely. I talked about on a podcast of mine, quick plug for the Bitchuation Room, but LBJ was not a non-racist guy, and he signed the Civil Rights Act because of the amount of pressure.
They made him.
Yes. Yes. So even someone like Biden, who absolutely was definitely not progressive's first choice, can be pressured to do the right thing. Yes. Rashad Richey, any final words of or thoughts after this election?
For everyone, don't let up. Even though there's a victory celebration across this country, more than 80 million people voted for the Biden-Harris ticket. We still have to hold the powerful accountable.
Absolutely. Rashad, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure everyone to listen to his show, the Rashad Richey Morning Show, and also check out Rolling Out Magazine. And of course, he's been on the Damage Report, such a friend of TYT. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.